What an incredible past few days. Let me tell you, I have been traveling like crazy for the past month. We had inspection fuel, and I just got back from the Pro Inspectors Convention in Atlantic City with InterNACHI, and it was an incredible time. So I'm honored to show you guys today an interview that I had just before it with the founder of InterNACHI, Nick Gromicko. But I want to tag this episode real quick in saying that this is sponsored by the business unit that I had the pleasure of sitting with at the NACHI convention, Inspection Support Network /ISN, because right now you can get a 30-day free trial through ISN, and there's really no better time to try that than right now when things are a little bit slower. We're getting ready to go into a quicker fall season here if it hasn't started for you already. But now's the time to try something new so that way you're well integrated into it when it's ready to get going. So I had the pleasure of sitting down with Nick Gromicko while he was on vacation in between conferences. And I'm so excited to be able to share a little bit of that interview with you guys today. Slightly longer one, but it's a fantastic conversation with one of the best and brightest minds in the industry and one of the most well-known minds in the industry as well. So watch to the very end. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Here's the interview with Nick Gromicko. Welcome in, everybody. Another awesome episode of the Wraparound by Porch. We're back and better than ever. And this is an exciting episode for me because as a home inspector, I started my education journey with InterNACHI. I did my whole training course on there for the state of Virginia. And I get to sit here and talk today with Mr. Nick Gromicko himself, the head of InterNACHI, the founder of InterNACHI. And thanks for joining me, man.
Thank you.
Now, this is going to be great. So your vacation, first of all, this is your first vacation in how long?
About 20 some years.
That is
26.
How do you manage that, man? That's crazy.
I don't know. Once you get stuck working every day, 7 days a week, you can't get out.
Yeah.
It's almost an addiction.
Now, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. You're very passionate about your work. So tell me a little bit about how you got into the home inspection industry and then how InterNACHI started from there.
I was a home inspector. I was a member of ASHI, and I had a real estate license. And I was killing it with my real estate license. I was doing 120 deals a year. So I was really making a lot of money at it. And ASHI kicked me out.
Okay.
For having, if you have a real estate license, you can't be a member of ASHI.
Gotcha.
In their bylaws.
Gotcha.
So I told them I was going to start my own trade association, that they should rethink that.
And so you did.
They rethought it.
Yeah.
They still kicked me out.
Still kicked you out.
Big mistake.
Sure. Well, I mean, that one mistake became a huge blessing and benefit for so many other home inspectors. So.
It did. So
now, how many home inspectors are with InterNACHI today?
Today we're down a little bit, so we're at about 27,000.
Okay.
And our peak is usually around 30,000, and it fluctuates in between there.
Fantastic, man. And
that's a slow market right now.
And that's been going on for how long with InterNACHI?
Well, 30 some years, about 30 years we've had InterNACHI going. So
just a little bit younger than myself. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
I was young when I started it.
Okay. No, that's fantastic. So a lot of home inspectors, we're operating in kind of a down market right now, real estate wise. But having founded InterNACHI so long ago, you've seen the peaks and valleys of the real estate market from the home inspector side. Where do you see things trending right now, and what does InterNACHI offer to home inspectors during this season?
Certainly this week is a bad week, right? If you look at things in terms of weeks or months. But over 30 years, we've seen ups and downs. The nice thing about it is the number of real estate transactions that have to occur. People have to move for work, or they have to move because they need more space, or they're downsizing, or whatever. And or they die, like here in Florida. A lot of people come here to die.
They do, yeah.
And so there's a lot of real estate transactions, and that isn't going away. The pipeline is always full of real estate transactions. We really can't be offshored or downloaded or replaced by a robot.
Right.
So someone has to go inside that house, some human being, and in a few hours try to figure out all the issues. And so we're not getting replaced with anything. AI is not going to replace us. China's not going to replace us. We're going to be here a long time, and there's always going to be real estate transactions. So if you focus on being the best, then you really shouldn't worry about anything else. The top gets most of the work, I would say.
Sure.
In any business, that 20-80 rule. And I think it's still true for inspectors. So try not to focus too much on your competitors. I mean, as I formed InterNACHI, I really didn't even view other association websites, and there were a lot more than just a few.
Sure, yeah.
At the time, I just thought about what I would need as a home inspector, since I was one. That's a more creative position to be in, and I tried to be the very, very best I could be, and I knew that would work out, and it did.
Sure. Now, the benefits that you offer to home inspectors, is that really kind of how you came to establish those for InterNACHI? You really just thought about what you would want and offer that? Or how did you kind of sort out the package there?
I could take credit for it all, but I really can't. It's the InterNACHI forum did it all. So on the forum, all I had to do was pay attention. And inspectors were revealing not really what they wanted. It's not their job to figure out what they want. It's my job. Or what they need. That's my job, is trying to listen to their problem and see if I could come up with a solution for it.
Sure.
Steve Jobs said no consumer knew they wanted an Apple phone.
Right.
It's not their job to know what they want or need.
Yeah.
And I always think about that with InterNACHI, with about 34 employees, wake up every morning and start working on problems for inspectors and trying to help those inspectors. And I always tell them, it's not really the path you want to take is to ask them what they need. It's better to just stop reading at that point.
Right.
Maybe if you're reading some post that explains the problem and they start to talk about the solution, cover it up with your hand so that your brain isn't infiltrated with what they think.
Okay.
And creatively come up with a solution. And maybe it's the same solution. Maybe it's something that's obvious they need, but a lot of times we were able to come up with products and services that inspectors really grew to love. Because, we did the thinking instead of trying to just react and provide them what they thought they needed.
Sure.
You get 34 staffers around who all day long, that's their job, try to figure out how to help home inspectors. And you get them in one of our Discord meetings or something. We come up with a lot of great things for the industry.
That's fantastic, man. And it really, that's the big thing that I've heard from so many inspectors is kind of the benefits that they've received from it over the years. How did you guys develop like the educational side of things? Was that just, again, there was something that was missing and you saw an opportunity there, or?
Well, so we formed InterNACHI pre-internet, so there was no internet. And once the internet kicked in, at first, sort of as we predicted, there would be a movement against online education. If you're old enough to remember it, most people didn't like online education. They thought it was cheap.
Sure.
But it has so many advantages for the inspection industry. You can go at your own pace. You can go backwards. You can take it over and over. Our systems sort of try to find things that you're not good at with quizzes, and then reinforce those areas. So our educational system is very complex, works really well, very robust. And when Harvard and Yale started offering online courses, I knew we were going to be good.
Yeah.
And I said, I made a prediction that one day we'll hold the same accreditation, the U.S. Department of Education accreditation, as Harvard and Yale. And today we do.
That's fantastic, man.
In fact, Yale has only a regional accreditation. So if Yale gives a law course in Texas, it doesn't count.
Right.
But we have a national accreditation, the only school in the industry that's U.S. Department of Education accredited, or an actual college. So we can give, these are college level courses.
Sure.
At InterNACHI. And they're all done online.
That's fantastic, man.
I'm not opposed to classroom courses. We built the biggest systems for classroom courses in America. We built the Houses of Horrors, which are 2-story houses inside 3-story buildings. And the 2-story houses are all wrong. So we have one down here in Florida, one in Colorado, one in Pennsylvania. And inspectors from all over the world come and train on those. And the Houses of Horrors allows that.
Yeah.
To go through a real house. I'm not even a real house.
Yeah, it's simulated.
Built to give you a lot of defect recognition experience in just a few hours.
It's a haunted house for home inspectors.
It is.
Yeah. So how did you guys come up with that concept? This is awesome, by the way, because again, it's, a haunted house for home inspectors where you can go in and you can just look at every little issue that could possibly be wrong. How did you guys develop that, and where did that kind of come from?
I was a multi-inspector firm owner, and when you take an inspector, if you were to come to work for me fresh, green, and put you in a truck, I might take you out for 6 months and you'll see the same 20 defects over and over. Some roof defects, some water heater defects, on and on and on, right? and you don't really get great that way. So I try to come up with a system that would be more efficient for multi-inspector firms to hire inspectors, send them to me. I'll send them to a house that has not just 20 defects, has 1,500 defects, thousands of defects, and they'll get all that, a century of experience, defect recognition experience in a week.
Right.
So when I send them back, they're pointing out to the lead inspector all the things that the lead inspector missed. And we do it efficiently. We do it in a week. So for multi-inspector firms, it's just a very profitable way to train new inspectors as opposed to ride-alongs, which are bullcrap in my opinion. They just I mean, first of all, you have an inspector and you're only going to learn what that inspector knows. That's one problem. And the second problem is you're only looking at houses that don't have many defects over and over. The same ones over and over.
I won't tell you the name of the YouTube series that I just started then.
Okay.
called the Ride Along. Yeah. So
we're doing House of Horrors though, right?
Yeah, no, okay, so here's the cool thing. We were talking about this yesterday. I want to see the House of Horrors. I've never been there, and that's horrors. You know, that there's an OR at the end of that. It's hard to pronounce that sometimes.
Yeah, we own that trademark House of Horrors. Actually.
Yeah. But I've always wanted to see this, and there's actually somebody else that's wanted to see this too. Would you say that outside of multi-inspector firms, this might actually be a great content feature for, I don't know, TikTok influencers?
Oh, for AJ. Yeah, AJ, we're going to try to get him to come with us.
So Inspector AJ, you need to be listening, man.
1.8 million TikTok followers he has.
He does.
And 2.3 million social combined.
So you heard it here first.
We want to round him up. I think he's deployed now for a couple of months. We're going to round him up in January. We're going to take him to all 3 Houses of Horrors.
Let
him do his thing on them.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, watch the YouTube series. Pay attention to that because Inspector AJ and I were going to be joining Nick Gromicko here, checking out all 3 of the InterNACHI House of Horrors. That's going to be a lot of fun, man. Yeah, fantastic stuff. So you have been hustling and grinding with this business for so long, at multiple businesses. You've got your fingers in a lot of different real estate pies, and you've been involved in so many different avenues of the inspection industry. How do you balance work and life in the aspect of managing? Gosh, you said, 100-something employees at this point?
12 employees. Right?
Okay.
So, I mean,
and then 27,000 home inspectors on top of that you're representing? And
just down at the House of Horrors in ProLab, and Jamie owns ProLab, he's topped 1,000 employees.
Wow.
So I probably couldn't run a 1,000 employee operation. I certainly couldn't be Jeff Bezos, having millions of employees or how many he has. I don't know how many.
Yeah.
But I like to know every employee's name and who they are.
That's good,
so man. That tops out at around 100 for me.
Sure.
So I'm kind of maxed out right now.
Yeah.
I'm not hiring.
Right.
And I'm not starting any new businesses despite my ADD telling me to launch new ones.
Yeah, you don't sit around long, man.
No, I had my first beer in a long time, and I'm trying to.
What was it, by the way?
Relax.
What'd you drink?
Yingling.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that, man. Good old American lager.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I haven't had a beer in decades.
Yeah.
So
now, is that just personal choice there? Or?
I tried in business. I tried not to waste my time, so I don't.
Sure.
My wife and I never watch TV ever.
Okay.
I don't do drugs. I don't smoke cigarettes. If I go to Vegas for a convention, you won't see me gambling.
Yeah. You stay away from the vices that could distract from your business. Which sounds
no alcohol. I have one vice, and that's my wife.
Hey, that's a good vice, man. That's not a bad one at all.
No, she's half my age and cute. So
yeah, hard to say no to
that'll
that.
carry me through to the end of my days.
You're a blessed man. There you go. No, that's fantastic. So where does that work ethic come from, that strong work ethic? Can you tell me about that in your life?
Well, I think if you're really poor, like starvation poor, I was born into, basically poor family, coal mining family. My grandfather died of black lung in the coal mines before I was born. And I'm a high school dropout, didn't inherit any money. And once you're at that level, you almost can't get enough. You always feel like you're worried that you're going to go hungry.
Sure, yeah.
And then I had a lot of kids. I had 6 kids. I outlived 2 of them.
No, I'm sorry to hear that.
But, when you have kids and you remember what it's like to be poor, it's hard to stop working. I'm trying my best.
Now, how are you passing that work ethic on to them?
Well, should I?
Oh, I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
I'm not sure that's.
I don't know if you adopt like the Bill Gates method where he's not leaving his kids an inheritance for it's
Sure. Is that a good example? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm in a position to tell people what to do. I mean, I made a lot of money, but I also lost all my money twice. So I'm probably just I'm equally competent to talk about losing all your money as I am making a lot of money.
Well, can we talk about that? Because that's fascinating too. So,
Well, I mean,
what
being
did you learn
poor,
in that process?
I made a lot of money. I lost it all. I made a lot of money. I gave it all away. I made all the money. I lost it all again, like all of it. I was down 7 years ago. I was down 600 grand. And I'm back up to whatever I am now, 100 million or something. I mean, it's I can make it fast, but it also lose it fast.
Sure, yeah, you
I mean, I
can't.
was always I always wanted to hit that B number, and so I took risks I probably shouldn't have taken. Looking back, I wasn't as conservative. I was never worried about remaking my money.
Sure, yeah,
I knew I could get right back in
yeah,
and make it again. There's a lot of ways to lose all your money. I mean, you could lose it in a lawsuit. You could lose it in a divorce. You could. The big way inspectors lose their wealth is by spending it.
yeah,
They could just spend it, and they have nothing left at the end of their days.
sure.
They'll work decades and have nothing to show for it. What a terrible life sentence that would be. Can you imagine if a judge ordered you to work all your days, decades, maybe your whole life, and at the end have nothing to show for it?
Yeah, yeah,
That's actually quite common in our industry. And it has a lot to do with inflation. If you go to the Inspection Museum in Boulder, Colorado, which I founded, there's reports there with invoices in those reports, and those invoices, aren't much lower than what our fee structures are today. So can you imagine being in an industry that hasn't had a raise in half a century?
yeah, yeah.
So you have to be careful with inflation in this business, and in general, inflation helps people like me with a lot of hard assets. I would say helps everybody the more you have, the more you love inflation. But the trick is to get there,
Sure.
and to get there past it, you have to run past inflation somehow. In fact, I just wrote an article on it last night.
Okay.
Four ways to get rich as a home inspector. It should be published next week.
That's fascinating, man. What would you say is the best thing that you've ever done with your money that's been the most rewarding thing for you personally?
Well, InterNACHI is the conglomerate around InterNACHI. I would say not necessarily InterNACHI. InterNACHI was kind of a no-brainer. It's kind of easy.
Sure.
All you have to do is have ears. If you listen to the industry and just keep adding membership benefits, eventually you get to the point where the value proposition of being a member of InterNACHI is so ridiculous compared to the annual dues that you have to be stupid. No offense to anybody out there who's stupid, but you have to be really stupid not to be a member of InterNACHI. And our renewal rate's higher than any trade association in all of human history. It's 99.99% or something like that. You have to die or quit or sell your business or whatever to leave InterNACHI once you join.
Sure.
I
No,
would say.
I mean, you really do believe so strongly in what you've built, which is awesome.
I do.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's
So
why I can sell it. I mean, because I believe it.
now, wait, you're like sell it as a concept, or are you looking to sell it?
No, I'm looking to sell it as a concept.
There you go. Okay,
And
gotcha.
all my I mean, most of the stuff you see me that I've built for inspectors, you'll never see because they didn't work.
Gotcha.
So the crap that didn't work, I don't schlep.
Yeah. So you
I get rid of it real quick.
right.
I'm embarrassed about it, and I'm never going to sell it.
Okay.
You're never going to know about it. It
Right.
didn't work. I'm mostly a failure. About 95% of everything I've come up with to help inspectors doesn't work.
So you're
biggest
sticking with the
failure you've ever
5% that
met.
has. Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't see it because I get rid of it all.
Sure.
And what you have left at I call it the conglomerate, InterNACHI, the insurance company, the Buyback Program, CMI, CCPIA, Cozy Codes for Kids, whatever, the whole inspector outlet, inspector media, that whole conglomerate around InterNACHI, that's all the stuff that is actually helping inspectors.
Sure.
But there's a bigger universe around it of all my failures.
No, that's amazing.
Which-
What was one of those failures that like you would have been really excited about and it just didn't
Oh,
work and you
come
had to
on.
learn to cut your loss? Because I've got a few too, but
Well, most of it was in marketing.
okay.
Marketing programs that I thought would work really well.
Yeah.
And then it turned out they didn't. They
Sure.
just did not work. And it's not because of implementation. Inspectors tried to take it and run with it. I mean, my biggest flop maybe would probably be correct filters.
Okay.
The founder of ProLab and me, we put a lot of money into it.
Yeah.
I think we lost $1 million on it.
Oh man.
So
But it was worth the gamble.
we're trying to deputize the inspection industry
Sure.
into, while they're at the inspection industry, take note of the filter of the furnace, what
Okay.
size it is, right?
Sure.
And then say, hey, your furnace is dirty. You know, I I don't know what size my furnace filters are.
Yeah. And it's like every time you have to look, and then you go to
And
Home
I don't
Depot
remember when to change it. And when I
Right.
changed them, I was like, holy,
yeah.
I haven't changed this in 2 years.
Right.
So the idea was to contact that consumer and say, hey, we're going to send you a beautiful filter, one, really nice one. And it's the right size for your furnace.
Okay.
And we're going to do this, every 60 days.
Sure.
And then we came up with the idea is that once they get the first one, once they get the second one, we ship them a year's supply and merely email them to tell them to change it.
Got it.
They
Okay.
go downstairs, they have the good filter,
Right.
they're changing it at the right time, and it fits.
Uh-huh.
It was a great idea on paper, right?
Sure. No, it
And
sounds
all
like a
the
great idea.
inspectors who are at the homes right now are going to lead generate for us, and we're going to feed them back a piece of the money, right?
Right.
Brilliant idea on paper, flawless.
And it failed.
And it sucked up like $1 million of our money.
So
Or
in
more,
that,
$1.5 million.
but in that we learn from our failures so that those feed into our successes. What did you take away from that worked well for the next thing?
Well, I mean, it's humbling because I think that I can look at something on paper and analyze it. A financial statement. I feel I can do that with. And this is a business idea, and I looked all around it, and it seemed to work on paper. Deputizing 30,000 inspectors makes sense. They're already in the home, and I couldn't get it to go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it reminds me the next that looks really good.
Which is what?
It might be wrong. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
And sometimes I'm right. The buyback program I'm right on. I thought of the buyback program. You could ask Chris Morrell, our CEO. I thought of it at about 7 a.m. in the morning one morning,
Okay.
and we launched it at 7 p.m.
Gotcha.
That was logo built, underwriting behind it, the website and everything. And that's where, if you're really into a mess with a consumer and they're about to sue you, they're about to send a complaint to the state, they're bad mouthing you on social media, whatever. We just come in and buy the house.
Sure.
They get to stay there till they find a new house. We don't charge them.
Okay.
And when they move to their new house, then we take the other one and flip it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So
That's a great business concept.
yeah, it's a great thing. And that worked. We're in our 8th or 9th year now of running that program. Dozens of homes we bought back, and it really works really well.
But that's just that business concept. You said that started at 7 a.m. and you solidified it by 7 p.m.
Yeah, the only thing I ever did faster was get engaged. I met my wife and was engaged to her 8 hours later. She was calling her mother saying she's engaged.
Oh, wow, man. Fantastic.
So, but the buyback program is the second fastest thing I've
So,
done.
but is it just having like that kind of,
I knew that was a winner.
yeah. And then having like the confidence to, and you might even say just the audacity to be like, no, we're doing this. Let's
Yeah,
throw it at
I
the
mean-
wall and go for it.
I bounced it off a few people. One person reminded me, "Sure, you run into another correct filters."
Yeah.
Thing I said, no. Inspectors are really going to like this. Real estate agents love it.
Sure.
It's a sales tool for real estate agents because they can take a buyer that they've been driving around for 6 months, and the buyer's just too hesitant to pull the trigger. They're too, first time buyers,
Right,
especially. She can turn to the buyer and say, "Listen, if you use ABC Inspections, they have a buyback program."
Fantastic.
And then of course, nobody believed that I would actually buy a house back. There are articles written about it as total hogwash. So, and as bad luck would have it, I didn't have anybody wanting their house bought back for months.
Yeah.
So I had to sit there, in my misery, trying to explain, yes, we plan on buying homes back, but with no evidence that we would. Now, after 8 or 9 years and dozens of homes bought back, people understand that the program works and that it works really well. But, after the first launch, I was begging for someone to get into a tussle with the home inspector so that I could go in with
Right.
a white hat and rescue them and prove
Sure,
to everybody that it works. But it was like months and months of misery on the message board, listening to everyone tell me that it'll never happen. No one will ever sell their house. Well, it turns out they will.
Oh yeah.
Most people are complaining with about a home inspection. Their complaint is meritless.
Right.
No fairy will tell you that. Any insurance company like we own knows that. And a good amount of time they just have buyer's remorse and they're
Sure.
taking it out on somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of
So
times.
we want them to go on. The real estate agents love it because they get 4 commission checks.
Hey, there you go.
They sell the house to them, then we use that agent to buy the house back.
Right.
They sell them a new one, they sell it again, So it's just a win-win-win for real estate agents, consumers, and InterNACHI members all the way around, and a loss for lawyers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And insurance companies.
And you have fun with that one, don't you?
Huh?
I said you like that part too, don't you?
I do. I like that. I like buying houses back. We just bought one in Utah, $600,000. We put $100,000 into the foundation, and we just listed it. And then most of the houses after we buy them back, most of them we've resold to other InterNACHI members.
Okay.
They came in and wanted it, and they bought it because I gave them a discount or cash back or something. And then in each of those cases, they used the buyback program.
Sure.
So they had it inspected by yet a third InterNACHI member, so that who uses the buyback program, so that after 90 days, if they decide, hey Nick, I bought this house back, but it's not for me. It's this and this and this is the problem. We would buy it back off of them.
Off of them too, yeah.
Yeah.
So just kind of
that's never happened, but
yeah, but it could.
But it could, yeah.
Definitely could. So one of the other things that I want to talk about, especially because you're such a leader within this industry, you don't sit at the top without getting there, without making friends and enemies both, right? You gain some notoriety for the good that you do, and then nobody is a fan of everybody all the time. So how do you balance like kind of the battle of climbing to the top, supporting your cause, and really fighting your way to get there, and knowing your place in the industry in that sense? How do you juggle both?
Someone once said a life without enemies isn't a life worth living.
Sure. No, I hear that.
I guess my biggest opponent was the patent troll who was suing all our members for using infrared. They had a patent to use infrared on home inspections.
Okay.
And so that shut down infrared on home inspections. I mean, people were afraid to use cameras because they would get a letter from an attorney saying you can pay us 10 grand for a licensing fee, or you can get sued. And then they started suing them. So, it all went to court. I signed an agreement with them that I then broke.
Okay.
That agreement, so that then now they got to fight me. So we went to federal court and they fought me and I lost.
Sure.
So I lost $600,000 in the lawsuit, and they were going to go back and start suing inspectors again. I appealed. In Mississippi, you have to put up, I think it's 1.25% of the judgment you lost in cash with the state to appeal. Just to appeal. So I did it. I put up $800,000 of my money.
Sure.
I appealed and I won 12-0 ruling was.
Wow, man.
Which can't be appealed.
Right.
When it's that.
Once it's said, it's
overwhelming. Overwhelming. So I got all my money. I won, which is great. InterNACHI members all went back to buying cameras again.
There you go.
Safely. The patent troll went away. I got all my money back, which was nice.
That's always
nice.
But
then, the state still owed me. I said, where was my money? And argued with them, and they sent me back my interest, 22 grand. So I have the checks on my website showing me holding the checks. So got all my money back and won. That was probably my worst enemy, just because they were ruining us. They would have taken, if they would have won, they would have taken, with legal fees, upwards of $1.5 million from me.
Right.
And the legal fees were killing me, but I just kept hanging in there because I knew if we could hang on to infrared cameras, it would be
that's a huge tool.
It would be good.
Absolutely.
And since then, infrared cameras have become very popular.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And Inspector Outlet sells them. Thank goodness. That's probably my worst battle I had,
Yeah. But you're definitely not one to shy away from a fight, especially when it's something that you believe in. So having kind of made it all the way to the top with InterNACHI now in the industry, what's the next battle for you that you want to go conquer?
I don't know. I mean, I just talked about this with my CEO, and I'm sad that Nahi and Ashi went out. I mean, I wish they were both still alive and still, something I had to take on every now and then. They both sued me multiple times and lost. And I'm sad that they're not around anymore. I mean, they were fun to fight with, especially since I was winning every time. I guess it's like some little kid that just keeps coming up and punching you once I'm fighting you. No, it was fun.
Kept you busy anyway.
Yeah, it kept me busy, but and I enjoyed it. I will admit. I know it's terrible to say. I enjoyed.
But that's where it's yes. Yeah, so what's the next thing now?
There's no next thing. There's no other trade association. So
gotcha.
I mean, that's it. And if we talk about InterNACHI, once those two went under, that was it. I mean, ASHI's lost almost all their members. They canceled their national convention inspection world, is what it's called. I think. Yeah, that's canceled. Well, you worked for ASHI.
I did for a little bit.
You were their podcast, weren't you?
I was. Yeah.
Why aren't you on their podcast now?
Because I got hired by Porch.
No, but did you get let go by ASHI?
I did get let go by ASHI.
Okay, so they just let go. I mean, the problem is it's just a basic physics one. The more money you bring into a trade association, the more benefits you can create and provide, which attracts more members, which brings in more money, which brings in more membership benefits, which brings it goes. It's a spiral circle up for InterNACHI.
Right.
Well, for ASHI, and it was a spiral circle down. With every time they cancel a podcast, less people find out about them. Right. Less people want to join. When they cancel Inspection World, less people find out about. Less people want to join, and that causes them to have a smaller budget, fewer members.
I think
they're able to provide less and less and less. It spirals both ways.
Yeah.
Well, InterNACHI, the whole conglomerate's now top $50 million in 2022.
Right.
So, people laugh at my four-letter F word.
Sure.
But, the conglomerate made a lot of money giving away stuff for free.
Right.
Because once you bring an inspector in and you take care of them really well, they're loyal to you. They buy their infrared cameras off of inspector outlets solely because I beat that patent troll for them.
Sure. Yeah.
That's the kind of InterNACHI members I want.
Yeah.
I want them to be in and helping us, and I'm helping them.
Sure.
And we have them.
Yeah.
We have them by the tens of thousands. So, so then it's a really good conglomerate of companies and nonprofits.
That's fantastic. Well, we enjoy partnering with you guys. We really do. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come out here and hang out for a little bit. Beautiful, beautiful day here in Florida. And I'll let you get back to your vacation, man, but I'm really looking forward to seeing you back up in Atlantic City and then hitting the road with you and AJ in January.
Thank you very much.
It's going to be fun. Thanks, Nick. And thank you guys so much for watching. And you guys can tune in on any place that you get your podcasts. That'd be Spotify, that could be Apple Podcasts, and of course you can watch it on YouTube as well. But we'll be back next time right here on The Wraparound. I'll see you there.